Welcome back, everybody, to the Last Week, This Week podcast. I'm Ian Scott.
I'm Zack Huber.
And this is the podcast where we talk about some nerd culture news from the past week, this upcoming week, even this week. And we have a bunch of things to talk about today. We got some Shazam review to do and Mandalorian episode 4 review. We also have Zack Snyder's event going on next month to talk about.
If you can call it that, from what I've heard.
Yeah, some Daredevil news. But yeah, I think at the top of the podcast,
some controversy between Dwayne and Zachary Levi.
Yeah, that's a big one too. But yeah, we wanted to start off with our thoughts on Shazam: Fury of the Gods.
Yeah, so we saw it together yesterday,
last night,
and I think I liked it a bit more than you did, which was to be expected if anyone listens to this podcast.
Right, you're more of a fan of the first movie, so.
Just general impressions before I guess we get into spoilery topic, like, or territory.
Right.
I didn't like it as much as the first one, which I feel like I've heard from a bunch of people across the board.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
But I still had a good time. Compared to other comic book movies in recent memory, I like it. Like, it's the most fun I've had a comic book movie since. And I wouldn't say that I had a lot of fun at Wakanda Forever. But
that's not like a fun movie,
right?
You know, that's like a really emotionally like heavy story,
right?
Yeah.
So I mean, the last time that I had like this amount of fun at a superhero movie was probably Doctor Strange.
Okay.
Like similar levels.
Yeah.
I might like Doctor Strange a little bit more. But
yeah,
I will say that, like,
not much more, but
for me, it's definitely better than, you know, most comic book movies recently for me. It wasn't a perfect movie by any means. It had a lot of issues, but for me, it was enjoyable, and a lot of the comedy, although it's not as funny as the first one, the comedy saves it, but it also detracts from it at the same time. And we'll go into specifics, but I mean, what's your general impression of it?
Yeah, my general thoughts, like, I walked out of the theater saying I didn't hate it.
Walked out of the theater.
Right, yeah. But yeah, I definitely didn't think it was a good movie.
You didn't think it was good?
I did not. I did not.
Like, you wouldn't even, like, it's just like, what, there's
like,
good, there's
it's okay at best for me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. And like, that's the thing is that, like, it just misses the mark on so many things, like, that it tried to do, I guess. Like the story, I didn't think was there. I didn't think, like, most of the time humor wise it was there. I think it had some good jokes that I actually laughed at. But yeah, I mean, most of the time I wasn't. And I think action wise it doesn't hit the mark. I think, you know, Zachary Levi doesn't hit the mark. I think it's just it's a lot of things that don't add up into a good movie, you know?
Yeah, I mean, I don't feel as middle of the road about it as you do, but I definitely agree with, like, what you're saying. I guess it just hit me in a different way because the action scenes weren't particularly.
They weren't bad.
It's
just they weren't memorable.
No,
I watched it last night and I can't picture an action scene that happened. Like, the only one I can think of is at the end when he's, like, shooting the lightning bolts in the orb.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only thing I can think of.
Because, to be fair, a lot of the quote unquote action scenes are more of trying to grab the staff, right?
Sure.
Like, trying to grab the staff or trying to save the bridge. So it's not a lot of fighting. It's just trying to, you know, do things very superhero like.
Yeah.
Which, like, you don't really. I don't think it needed to have quote unquote fight scenes.
Sure.
But, like,
I guess,
but I will agree. Like, it's like the action was fine. Like,
there
wasn't a lot of, you know, as much as like I do prefer this to like probably Black Adam, the action, I will say that the action in Black Adam was better. If we're going to compare things,
that's funny.
And I only compare it because it's recent, and also that the two characters are, you know,
right.
related to each other.
I would disagree with that statement. I think I prefer Black Adam more than this.
Yeah, not me. I mean, I liked Black Adam, and I think the main thing about Black Adam that I liked that would make me is because there were fun moments like with the Justice Society, and the action was very good, but everything else about that movie was not good. Not good.
Yeah, like there was a lot of bad things in that, but like the action was great. I think the story was decent enough. And I think
it wasn't as good as this story. This story had a little bit more heart to it.
I guess.
I'm not saying that the story's great. I'm just saying that, like, I don't. Anyways, we're not here to talk about Black Adam necessarily.
I mean, sure, but
I mean,
it does relate.
Sure. But I mean, I also agree with what you're saying about Zachary Levi, which I think, weirdly enough, is one of the strongest detractors of the movie.
Yeah.
Is there should have been a lot more of kid Billy Batson.
We didn't even talk about that, but I was thinking the same thing. It was almost like Shazam was there 80% of the time, and then you had Billy Batson like 20%. And it could have been even worse than that. Like, I feel like he barely got any screen time.
Yeah, he didn't really get a lot of screen time.
Yeah.
And he, like, a lot of the emotional things that we should be like experiencing for Billy,
right?
We experience through Zachary Levi's version of Billy, and he doesn't exactly. I love Zachary Levi, but he doesn't exactly like.
He doesn't personify Billy Batson.
Like when he's like, "You're gonna age out."
Yeah.
When you turn 18 and he's getting upset about that, it's all as the Shazam version of himself. And so this thing of like trying to feel empathy for this person who's like a middle-aged man.
And what's crazy is that when that moment finally hit me, like for that storyline, was when he was like kid Billy Batson.
Exactly.
And I was like, okay, this is what the movie was missing. And then he goes right back to being Shazam.
And maybe there's something with the director that was maybe Billy wanted to be Shazam more so that he didn't have to feel like this kid who is going to age out, which I could see.
I mean, he's already feeling like imposter syndrome from this episode, from this movie.
But I just don't think that those emotional moments with Zachary Levi worked, especially because also Zachary Levi, I thought he did a really good job in the first movie of balancing between the kid Billy and being older.
I was more critical of that.
He wasn't perfect, but at least in this movie, it bordered on just it got really annoying and also like unrealistic because it didn't feel like Billy would be as ridiculous.
It was super noticeable, like because the kid had aged up 4 years, but like Shazam, you know, his adult version like aged down 2 years, like from the first movie. It was like
he definitely seemed
more immature and just
reckless.
Way more hyper. Yeah, like it was like he was like a 13-year-old instead of an 18-year-old. Or sorry, he's supposed to be 17. But
I mean, I just didn't feel like Billy was saying the things that Shazam was saying. You know?
Yeah, that's the thing too. Is that like they had a similar relationship, but like Freddy and Kid Billy Batson didn't feel exactly the same to me as like Freddy and Shazam, like adult Billy Batson. You know?
What are you saying?
Like their relationship.
Oh.
Like I like the chemistry was there in both instances, but it felt a little different each time, you know?
I will say one of the positives about was Freddy.
Yeah.
Like Freddy really felt more like the heart of the movie.
I would also say he was a positive for me in the first movie.
Yeah, he was a positive in the first movie too.
Right.
For me too.
And like, yes, I like the character Freddy. I think he has some funny moments in this movie. I just think the storyline they ended up giving him wasn't the greatest with Anne.
No.
Yeah, and so for this is, where spoilers are going to start coming in.
Well, I feel like we've been spoiling a little bit.
Sure, but minor things.
Sure.
But for those of you who haven't seen it, basically he ends up meeting this girl at school who he saves from some bullies. And it's revealed later on that he's actually that she is one of the three sisters sent from Olympus. Do you remember?
Just their daughters of Atlas.
They're daughters of Atlas. So yeah, she's one of the daughters of Atlas, and she's basically one of the three villains of this movie. Although she acts like a good guy the entire time, and
I think her intentions, like the sisters' intentions, were just let's get the powers back.
Yeah.
And get the apple
seed, right,
and plant it in like their realm.
Yeah.
And so in a lot of ways, it didn't really, she wasn't like trying to do anything bad to Earth. She was just going to try to get the powers back. I don't think she really wanted to hurt anybody necessarily.
But it even felt like she was against like taking the powers back, you know? Whereas like the older sister didn't.
At a certain point, yeah, things started to change. And it was like, so is this character just becoming like a love interest?
And basically she did. She just became a love interest for Freddy. And what made it even like more uncomfortable was that Freddy is like a 17-year-old, kid. He's just hanging out at school, and then she's a 6,000-year-old goddess. And then at the end of the movie they're holding hands in a relationship.
Yeah. And they make a joke about their kids liking older women because Shazam has a whole thing for Wonder Woman.
Yeah, the entire movie, it's kind of a run-on joke.
That works because she's obviously not into him.
Yeah, right. But now...
And Anne is a perpetual... Here's the thing. That relationship doesn't seem like it's going to work out in any way because she can't age up. So like...
Yeah.
Even though it's weird to begin with that she's super way older than him. He's gonna get to a point where he's like in his 30s and he's still dating like a 17-year-old looking like girl.
Yeah, that's funny.
So that's in a way like it'll just look bad on him.
It'll look inappropriate for him, but it's way more inappropriate for her. Yeah.
So but
let's get back on track.
A little just it's weird. But like he didn't have the best story. I did enjoy his moments with the wizard. I thought that they had a lot of chemistry
for the most part.
I thought the wizard Jaimon Hansu was incredible. He was so funny and like entertaining to watch. Yeah,
this was definitely probably the funniest role I'd seen him in. And he was stronger in this than in the first one.
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah, he was really good in this.
For sure.
I thought Helen Mirren and Lucy Liu,
they fell flat for me.
They were okay.
They were nothing special to me. I don't know.
They were fine for me.
Like especially Lucy Liu, like she felt like the most generic villain ever.
I was gonna say Helen Mirren had a little bit more nuances.
Yeah,
and I liked how the villain, I don't know, the storyline with the villains was, it was still like kind of paint by numbers, but it was a little bit more different because now there's an argument between the three of them and they're all starting to fight each other.
I'll give it that. Like I definitely did like conflict between the three of them.
But
go on.
I liked the kids, all the kids, the Shazam family. They all had their moments in a way, and I will say that
in a way.
The older girl, Mary, she was starting to have a plot. Like she was starting to have an arc, and then it just never did anything with it.
Like basically her plot was that she was kind of upset that she didn't go to college and stuck around to be, one of the Shazam kids.
Yeah.
And then like there was another scene later on where she was like, she had gone out the last night, right? And had gone out with people her age. And then, that just went nowhere.
That was the end of that.
Yeah.
Which didn't exactly hit me until now. But I
agree. It didn't hit me either.
But all the other kids, like they didn't have really any arcs. They were just there for, I mean, except for like one of them was, it was nice. Like they had a nice moment of them coming out as being gay.
Yeah. That was a little thread they had throughout the movie.
But that really felt like the only thing that character.
Oh yeah, that was it.
That was it.
Yeah.
Like,
and he's bad at dodgeball.
And he's bad at dodgeball.
Yeah.
I mean, they had funny moments. Like the who's the girl that like likes the unicorns? Do you remember her name?
I don't remember her name.
I mean, she had funny moments.
She's purple Shazam. Yeah.
Yeah. Like they were all entertaining. I like them as their adult versions and their younger versions.
I thought the actors did a good job, like the older Shazams, portraying those, I guess. I will say, like, the Asian guy didn't really, like, I didn't really believe that he was the Asian kid, but, you know.
Why?
I don't know. Maybe it was, like, the macho, like, deep voice on him that just, like, threw me off so hard. But, like, there was just nothing about him that, like, felt like the nerdy little kid that we saw.
I don't know. He still felt like it to me personally.
The only thing was like when we knew, or when they said beforehand that he had been like searching all like the doors in that whatever realm they were in.
Yeah. The Rock of Eternity.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. But yeah, I think.
What do you mean? Yeah, sure.
Sure. That's the name. That's
it is the name.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, whatever. Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, I think. I don't know. Like, even though, the Shazam kids were fine, like they ended up like throwing him away, like to just isolate Billy at the end.
Right.
Gosh,
we have issues with
the whole third act. I'm not a fan of it all. Like, basically, you know, the Shazam kids without powers to fight off the seed that's been planted here in the Earth realm. And I should say the Earth realm, with the seed being planted in it, had all these orcs and like mythical creatures pop up that started terrorizing Philadelphia. And to stop that, they decided to go out and try and find some unicorns, because they're like the scariest beasts in mythology,
or like the king of the beasts,
right?
Yeah,
and they all end up taming unicorns with Skittles.
That was kind of funny.
It was
dumb.
Blatant ad placement.
It was dumb.
Yeah,
but it was funny a little bit.
Yeah, I would say so.
The only part that was funny was when the girl was like, "Taste the rainbow," and like. Yeah, it was dumb, but it was kind of funny. It was just kind of funny.
Well,
to me, like it was also kind of cringe, but it was also kind of funny.
But yeah, I mean, that's the end of their plot at that point, is that they're just riding unicorns around while Billy's fighting.
Right, and like I think that's one part of the movie that I was just like, why even?
Yeah,
like maybe on paper it was like, oh, this is gonna like really work.
We gotta have
like,
some people on the ground level fighting all these monsters, right? But
like it's like they had to cut, like, because obviously like it felt like the whole movie you didn't really have a moment where it was just Shazam, like Billy doing stuff, which like I don't think you necessarily needed that. But
no, you didn't, because I genuinely think the progression from the first movie should have just been like, let's just all be a group and not try and go back to being just purely Billy,
right? Know? And I think the way that it built up, like there was a lot of emotional payoff with like him doing it like for his family and having that emotional moment between his like foster mom and then Freddie at the end. Like there was a lot of good emotional payoff. But and like I have no problem with them isolating Billy and doing all that, because I thought that narratively worked, and I thought it was emotional, and I thought it was well done, and he started to like it was like all about his heart, like that being like one of the best attributes of him and why he was the chosen champion. But they really did not need to give all of, like, I understand like there needed to be maybe some way to deal with these monsters. Mm-hmm. but that's only because they were written in that there were monsters.
Yeah, there didn't need to be. It could have just been like this massive tree is destroying the city because of all of its roots and whatnot.
So just the idea of these, like, them riding these unicorns, and also the foster mom and dad, like, just kind of like, oh, our kids are going off and we don't really know how to parent, and then Freddy going off, and
I complained
Freddy
about that.
did a bunch of things where it was like, that's impossible. You shouldn't be able to do that. Like when Calypso, which was Lucy Liu's character, was like trying to get the names out of him. He was like fighting it off really well. And then
I actually liked that scene a lot.
I liked it a lot. And his acting is, he's a really good actor, or at least him as Freddy is very well done.
I think so.
And then him with the dragon at the end with Anne was like, he was fighting it off, and like I feel like there's supposed to maybe be something going on there in the future, but
I don't know.
It was a little, I don't know. I mean, like with that whole moment though, like that dragon could have easily just killed them instead of doing this fear thing for like a minute long, you know? And like we had an issue with when Shazam goes to where Freddy is, and he gets the staff. And then he immediately throws it to
Freddy, who then gets intercepted by Lucy Liu, I think.
And we were like, why would he throw it? And
he just got it. Why would he throw it?
I don't know why he would throw it, other than
he's a dumb kid. That's why.
Well, I think if Freddy touches it, because I think his cane ended up touching when Lucy Liu caught
he could become Shazam again.
He could become Shazam again.
Okay,
but maybe. You could have, and the only reason that they did that, because you could have narratively been like, and then I'm gonna grab Freddy really quick, and then we're gonna go. You could have done probably a bunch of other things. The only reason that they did that is because if he took it, the staff, like there would be no drama, there would be no ending. We couldn't build the story anymore. Like they had to have that staff.
Basically, Shazam just couldn't have the staff yet
because we have to have a story,
have a final arc. Yeah, it was.
And if anything, if they didn't have it and they came up with a different way to get it, might have been more interesting instead of just like, oh, let me give it to you real quick because I'm a dumb kid, I guess. Which makes I
don't know. I think the ending isn't. It's not like the sacrifice Billy makes is terrible.
No,
because I think if you left it at a sacrifice, this could have been a very wakeful ending, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
Which it was.
It was at that point.
Yes.
And then you introduce Wonder Woman at the very end, who had kind of been a joke, like reoccurring joke throughout the movie, that he wants to date or sleep with Wonder Woman. And she comes in and she's like, yep, there is a God left here on Earth. And she grabs the staff and plants it into the earth. And I guess Zeus's lightning comes down and strikes it. And with that, basically, Anne gets her powers back. All the Shazam kids gets her powers back.
Yep.
And Billy comes back to life and pops up out of the grave.
Yeah.
I think like, even though I don't like most of this movie, this might be my least favorite part,
which is very understandable.
Yeah,
because it's a bunch of it's just frustrating because, first of all, from last week we were talking about they just put Wonder Woman in a TV ad.
Yeah,
so
we already knew this was coming.
We knew it was coming.
Yeah.
It would have at first, like if it was the first time seeing it, I would have been like excited.
Sure,
way more excited, but it would immediately be cut off from me being excited to be like, narratively, the only reason that Billy's coming back is because character came out of nowhere and just did this thing.
Like to me, that's so annoying to have such a crucial part of your plot just be like, yeah, this character exists in our universe. Let's just bring her here. Like, what is that? What kind of writing is that?
Yeah, I mean that's very like straight up comic book, like something that would happen in a comic book, and it would be fine in a comic book. But in a movie, it's like, oh, and then this random character that like we know about her,
right?
But it was it was just kind of ridiculous to be like, oh yeah, and then
they also just never explained why she knew Billy was dead, why she knew they were there. She just knew everything.
Yeah, that's one issue with having a connected universe is how many, like, do Superman or Batman or the Flash, do they all, they gotta know stuff's everything? Going on, right?
Sure, right.
At least, at the very least, Superman's probably got to know what's going on.
Yeah.
And so you have to think about, is he just saying like they have to learn to be superheroes on their own? Well, what about the people who die in the process? Like you could have prevented this.
Sure, yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So that's just kind of me being like a ridiculous like comic book fan, I mean, that's just fair. Like, well, why didn't, and that's where like people who will argue like, where's blah blah, where's Wonder Woman, where's Superman, and that's part of the problem with having those characters in it. But also, like, why wouldn't she go to help at any point?
Yeah, if she knew all of this, then why wasn't she there to help?
You know, and obviously it's because we have to have a movie.
Yeah.
And it can't be Shazam and Wonder Woman. Well, it could be actually.
Yeah, it could have been.
You could have done some Thor Ragnarok shit and like had them meet up in some way.
Batman v Superman stuff.
Yeah, I mean, that would have, I mean, she's like clearly adjacent to things because of gods and magic and all that. But she just shows up at the end is like, oh, I fixed your problem.
Like it would have been different if like they were in DC like her. But they're not, you know, they're in Philly.
I mean, not that far away.
I know it's not that. I just, what do you think? She can hear all that shit from that far? Well, I don't know.
I mean, she's got the news. I don't know. When you're Wonder Woman, I mean, it's just whatever.
Yeah,
it's dumb.
No. Yeah, I mean, besides the actual ending, there's 2 end credit scenes.
Yeah, which are super interesting. Which
they are, and yeah. So I don't know if you want to. Or I mean, I can introduce them. But yeah, basically the first end credit scene, we have it's
Economos.
Yeah, I couldn't. I just wanted to call him Diebeard. I didn't want to call him that.
Yeah.
And then you have Amelia Harcourt walking down this kind of like gravel dirt road, and they're going to meet Shazam.
Mm-hmm.
And when they get there, he's just kind of like shooting bottles with his lightning bolts out of his fingers. And they basically are just like, hey, do you want to join the Justice Society? And before they can finish, he's like, yeah, I want to join, thinking it's the Justice League.
Yeah.
And they're like, no, yeah, you're going to be a part of the Justice Society. And and then they just kind of walk off.
Yeah. I mean, there's a little bit more to it, but yeah, basically, yeah.
I mean,
and like they're under like orders from Waller, and I guess we can kind of tie this in a little bit to
the Shazam news,
some Shazam news that we have, which basically, there was originally intended to be members of the Justice Society from the Black Adam movie.
Yeah, I heard specifically they wanted Hawkman to appear.
Okay.
But yeah.
And Dwayne Johnson kind of cut off their access or whatever.
Basically vetoed that scene from happening.
Right.
And so
and same with having Shazam show up in any post-credit scene in Black Adam.
So yeah, basically I had heard that the director basically called up Peter Safran last minute, and he was the one who suggested Amelia Harcourt and Economos to replace the Hawkman character. And yeah, I think super disappointing to hear that about Dwayne Johnson, even though I'm not like surprised in the least, I guess, because basically all the reports before the movie came out had been in this direction, you know, where he was very controlling about Black Adam's direction, and very controlling about what the new DC universe would look like, and this was another instance of it. Yeah,
and I feel like there's, you know, like I don't think it was bad that Zachary Levi like kind of confirmed a lot of this.
Yeah, because he tried to put out a post basically confirming this report.
Right.
Yeah,
and then I don't know, did he put up the thing that said the truth will set you free?
Yeah, that's what he put up. Yeah.
Now, it feels to me like people and Zachary Levi are kind of being like, look, Dwayne Johnson like didn't let this happen. So stuff with Shazam.
So this movie was ruined because of it.
But that's not true.
Sure.
Like at all.
Yeah.
It's post-credit scene stuff. And I have no doubt that like if Shazam was to have a post-credit scene in Black Adam, similar to Superman, maybe there would have been a little bit more hype, but it's still a whole ass movie. And we're talking about a post-credit scene.
Sure.
And do I think what Dwayne did was kind of dumb and annoying, but it's also his production company that was in charge of the Black Adam movie, so I can't. But you're supposed to be like a team player, and you're working with the DC universe. Like I feel like somebody should have overrided. Like,
they were too scared to say anything to him at that point.
Yeah,
and they like that's the thing is that yes, it's his production company that worked on Black Adam. He should have no say in what happened on Shazam! Fury of the Gods.
No.
0 say.
I mean, he doesn't own the character of Black Adam.
No.
He's working with DC.
Yeah, he doesn't own any of the characters that were in his movie. So
I think it's a bunch of like strong arming that was kind of petty and annoying. And we know that he didn't want to be associated with Shazam, but like you don't make that call.
Like, you're literally his villain. Like, how do you?
I know you want to make the fans happy and see you face off against a Superman, or at least have Superman come in. And we were super excited for sure. But I think a lot of fans would then after that be immediately saying, now we want to see him versus Shazam.
Yeah.
So you're going to get there at some point, dude.
Right. Why not make it Shazam versus Black Adam, and then after that do Black Adam versus Superman?
And if anything, I heard, that maybe this movie that like Fury of the Gods, like if we would have just had a Black Adam versus Shazam, like him be the villain, like maybe like this movie didn't really need to happen. I mean, no movie ever needs to happen, but
no, this movie, like the villains didn't need to happen from this movie. They could have been replaced easily. Give it another plot.
Yeah. But
I was gonna say the other thing is that he vetoed Zachary Levi from appearing at the end of his movie, which yes, you have the argument that it's his production company, so he can veto that, but still another petty thing to do.
Yeah.
Because like you could have
and I think that Zachary Levi probably didn't put that post up as like an indication of like Dwayne's like done something bad to like harm the success of Shazam. I think he's like more like this dude like as
set us all back and like you know what I mean.
At least was like was shedding light on something that had happened that was really frustrating. That I guess now he can talk about it a little bit.
Yeah.
But speaking of the post-credit scene,
the second one,
still want to just touch on the first one real quick. We were kind of having a debate after the movie if we think Shazam's going to show up later on or the Justice Society is going to show up later on. And I didn't know about this information until Ian sent me the whatever the post like afterwards, a little bit after. And even with this new information, they still put this post-credit scene in.
Yeah.
And they didn't have to.
Sure.
And I'm not saying that Shazam's going to show up, because he might not. And you could easily write this off as Economos and whoever Harcourt's is it Harcourt?
Yeah, Harcourt.
That's her. That's not
her
the
actual
actress.
last
Okay,
name.
yeah. Not the actress's last name.
But the characters.
Right. So Harcourt and Economos, you could just say they were kind of annoyed by Shazam because he was being annoying, and they walked off and been like, you could easily be like, yeah,
he's not right for us.
No, yeah. Right. But the fact that like Waller said, go get this person, and that they are talking about the Justice Society, and they kept this post-credit scene in. I do think that at least in some form, probably in the Waller show or for something, the Justice Society will come into play.
Yeah.
I don't know if Zachary Levi will.
Right.
Which, like, I would love for Zachary Levi to stay as long as maybe he was. as long as he's written a better than this movie.
That's my thing, is that you have to like you now have to pander to like the way he acts, like
which could
for this
work
character
really well in an R-rated way.
How so?
Like him, if you'd have to write him the right way, but him being this like child, seeing like horrific violence occur, or even like accidentally causing it, could be funny, and him reacting to it, potentially.
I guess I was more thinking that like you need to pander to like the way he acts, as in like get a younger child who is more hyper and excitable to match like the kid version of him. But I mean, that's just the thing, is like the actor that plays Billy Batson, like young Billy Batson, is just so much older now, that the idea of Billy as a kid, that too,
is just like the idea of Shazam is like just kind of not
right, because like after this, you're like, well, the next time we'd see him would be like when he's 20 or 21. Like, do we need a Billy in like late college doing Shazam stuff? I don't really know. Yeah, that's really what we want to take the character.
Yeah, and then with that being said, there is a second post-credit scene, which is a follow-up to the post-credit scene of the first movie, which is it's fine.
I ended up rewatching that first end credit scene. I found it last night.
Yeah.
And it's very similar.
Yeah,
like it's pretty much the exact. Yeah.
And this one's kind of, it is. I do think it's funny because
I think it's
he's
funny
like,
in that
I've been
way too.
waiting for 2 years.
Right.
I'm 56 years old.
I don't even know what your plans are.
And he's like, I'll tell you after I do this one thing. Just like goes off, and it is.
Yeah.
It's funny, and I think.
No, I've never seen like a movie like, you know how like in the first Tom Holland Spider-Man, they just kind of ignore the Scorpion end credit scene.
Sure, yeah.
I've never seen one where they like set up something for the next movie, ignore it, and then they're like, no, actually, let's just add on to it in another end credit scene.
Yeah,
I think it's creative enough. I like it.
I do like it. I really want to see whatever that is happen, though.
We're not going to see it, unfortunately. But yeah, I'd like to know.
We could. It's weird enough that I feel like it could happen.
I mean,
like I feel like James Gunn would be like, that thing though, like that could work.
Yeah, but you'd have to keep whatever that character's name is from the first movie.
Yeah,
Dr. Michael something, not Morbius.
No,
but,
it's Savannah.
Okay.
Or Savannah.
Yeah.
I just want to see what it is.
I do too.
You know?
Yeah. Maybe we'll like figure out from the director what his plans were if this like truly gets canceled.
Yeah. I guess we'll see, because it is. What did it come out? What was the box office?
So box office was the lowest non-pandemic DC movie, and it opened at 30.5 million for the weekend.
Yeah.
So pretty low. Don't see it doing anything better than break even. So.
Yeah, I mean, break even would be nice.
Yeah,
right.
Sure. I don't know. I guess it doesn't really matter to me, since I'm okay with this being swept under the rug with the rest of DC.
Right.
So, yeah.
But regarding DC, do you want to lead us off into the next thing? Because I got the info from you.
Basically, we had talked about it last week, that there was this dark side transmission that Zachary Snyder put out, and kind of just announcing an event that was taking place from the 28th of April to the 30th. And so we had no idea what it was. And then I think it was yesterday I found out that it's called Snydercon, and they're screening Man of Steel on the 28th, Batman v Superman on the 29th, and Zack Snyder's Justice League on the 30th. And he's doing a Q&A there as well.
Mm-hmm.
So that's all we're getting. And I think we're both relieved, honestly. At least I'm relieved.
I'm relieved and also kind of disappointed, because he made it seem like this like a thing.
Sure. I mean, well, it's a Snydercon. I mean, that's pretty big for him, at least.
No, I mean, yeah, it is cool. Like, that actually sounds pretty cool.
Right.
But I feel like maybe there'll be some extra news sort of thing that happens. If it's just watching these 3 movies, that's fine. And like I guess we should say that we're relieved because I really didn't want more bring back the Snyderverse.
Right.
Like
basically, I didn't want more division than already was in the DC Universe fandom. You know, like because this would have just full on cemented the like Zack Snyder fans, and they would have never watched anything James Gunn puts out.
You think they would never?
I feel like you could be pretty satisfied from a part 2 and 3 of Justice League, right?
Yeah.
If you were to put that out, you know.
Yeah, you're right, because we thought, it could be an animated thing or whatever. Yeah, I mean, it sounds nice. I'm happy that he gets to have this thing, or Snyder fans can watch these 3 movies. And I wonder, I mean, I'm sure Man of Steel, it's just going to be the theatrical unless there was a director's cut.
They didn't say they were doing the director's cut for like Man of Steel, but I would assume it's like whatever his true vision was. You know, like the ultimate edition for
because I imagine that like Batman v Superman, it's the ultimate.
Yeah, there's no way they do the theater cut because that was bad.
That was not good.
No.
And then they're obviously going to do the Snyder cut for Justice League.
Yeah. They announced it was Snyder cut.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, it's okay.
That's okay.
It's fine.
We're okay with that.
Yeah.
The other big piece of DC news that we actually got today was that Titans Part 2 of Season 4 is going to be dropping on April 13th. And we got a new trailer and poster for it.
Yep. So for anybody who's listening for the first time or has been continuously listening, we've been or at least I've been on my journey of catching up to Titans, and I pretty much am in -1 episode.
You basically started when the podcast started.
Yeah.
And I had been watching since Season 2 came out. So I've been watching for a decent amount of time.
And also Titans this is going to be the last season.
Yes, it is.
So yeah, I watched this trailer. I saw the poster. I
think the poster's nice.
The poster's fine. Like nothing, crazy. I mean, we along with the trailer, we do get to see Tim Drake finally in a Robin outfit.
Yeah, and that to me is the big thing from that poster. Like I think I said to you before the podcast that obviously the reason they did this is because this is the last poster we're getting from this group.
Yeah,
you want to see him actually be in the Robin suit.
And I think he looks. I don't think he looks great in the poster. Something feels a little weird, but I think he looks good.
A little too polished, maybe in the poster.
Yeah. But I think he looks good in the outfit.
I agree. I think he looks natural.
The mask he has is in the shape of a bird, which was interesting.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, I didn't watch the final episode of.
You haven't watched episode 6 yet?
No, but I can gather that what was probably most likely happening is Sebastian I think his name is Sebastian.
Yeah, Sebastian.
Is like gonna join up with his mom. And basically from this trailer, we see that he's now Brother Blood. And I don't know if it happened in the last episode, but there's an alternate reality, it would seem, or an alternate dimension.
Yeah, that's why you kind of need to watch the last episode. Basically the ending of it. It does a lot for Raven. You kind of, I won't say too much, but
you just say, I don't give a shit.
That's fair.
I really don't care.
But you see her in the all white outfit in the poster. That's why she's in it. Like the last episode explains that too.
I mean, she was already kind of in white.
But but yeah, I guess you need to see the episode because they give her like an actual all white outfit and
how
through magic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yep.
That sounds about Titans logic as it gets.
It's through magic, of course. Yeah. But yeah, the trailer was
it seems more epic than any other Titan season so far, I will say.
Yeah. I definitely will say I'm happy that we're getting like some kind of resolution for Corey and Dick. Like we're basically in the trailer we got scenes with them like waking up in that alternate reality where they were in a house together and it looked like they had been like romantically involved for a long time.
Have a kid.
Right. And these were the visions that we got at the end of season 3 and at the beginning of season 4. So I'm happy to see that thread continue.
So at the end of episode 6, do you see that they're in an alternate, like a dimension?
No.
Okay, so bald Superboy hasn't happened.
Correct. But I think he's the one, like I think he stayed in like the normal universe. I don't think he went to an alternate dimension. But like because he's seen talking with Sebastian.
Right.
Yeah.
But like there's no alternate thing yet.
There's something that happens that I think triggered it. So I don't think like we fully realized, or maybe I didn't realize that they were in an alternate dimension, or it had been like split up in that way.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think it like that had already triggered and occurred. So you'll have to watch episode 6 for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, he looks awful.
Do you think he looks bad?
I mean, it's nothing against being bald. It's just like it's weird. Like why? Why?
Because he's being a Lex.
I know, but like it's a little much.
Like he is a little much because he doesn't know how to act. Not the actor, but like to me that character is like a literal 2-year-old who has like emotional tantrums in like one way or the other. And I think this is like him going like balls to the wall, like on like Lex Luthor's side of him.
Yeah.
And he's just being super dramatic about it.
Yeah. I guess. Yeah. I don't know. I'm not, it looks interesting.
Yeah.
It definitely, like, compared to the season 4 part 1 trailer, like this seems more intriguing to me than, it also seems like it could get absolutely just the most ridiculous that they've ever gotten easily.
I hope that's not the case, but I guess I'm happy about. I guess I'm a little bit happy about the Lex side of like Superboy coming out, especially in this like second half of the season, because I'm hoping they'll like really, I guess what am I looking for? Like the word I'm looking for here. It's I hope they really commit to it. Like I hope he goes full villain. Like I basically want the show ending with him in a villain route. And
why?
Because it would make season 3 for me a little bit more worth it with his arc. Because I feel like we got multiple hints.
But you want him to end as a villain?
I wouldn't mind, or at least we get some kind of like we're getting a little bit of a villain arc with him in this last half of the season. But like I think I wouldn't mind him being a main villain type. And not like we're gonna get a season 5, but like I would like it would have been maybe cool to see him be a villain for season 5 if that was the case. But
I hear you, but I want him to end up a hero, and he's just going through a thing right now.
Yeah.
Similar to Jason, which he shows up again. Jason shows up in this trailer.
Yes. I was gonna say that's what I'm most excited about. I'm shocked, I'm not gonna lie, because what he did last season just happened.
Yep.
And he killed Hawk. And not Dove, but he killed Hawk, and then that was pretty villainy thing to do. So I
think there's going to be some tension, but
I guess,
not because of how Titans is written.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I either want a lot of tension from the group and that kind of a scene, or I'm kind of wanting like maybe Tim Drake has reached out to him exclusively.
I don't think.
Yeah.
I think it's mostly
it's like
just going to be
secret training.
Yeah, I think it's just going to be Tim and Jason. Yeah.
That'll be cool. I like that a lot.
I hope.
Because here's the thing, the training arcs in season 2, probably some of my favorite stuff from Titans.
Yeah, they're okay.
It's some of the best part of season 2 for me.
I'm glad you like it, because I thought that all the training stuff was like, eh.
Yeah.
Well, I don't really care.
Yeah.
I don't really care. But
hopefully Brother Blood is done well for the last part. And do I have a lot of faith in the show, or good expectations for it. I can't say that. But because I know what I'm getting from the show at this point.
Yeah.
But I'm hoping it does some stuff well, and I'm hoping there's at least a decent ending there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I hope so too.
Yeah.
All right. I guess we'll just move on to some MCU news.
Yeah, on the other side of the table.
So Daredevil Born Again is the MCU Disney Plus show and it's currently shooting, and there's a photo, or it might have just been one photo that was released that's a little interesting.
There's a couple.
Oh, there's a couple.
Yeah, I mean, so you got one that was just a straight up like shot of him walking,
which is the one that is the most interesting to me.
Well,
at least that's the one that I saw. So I thought okay, I guess I was under the impression that you saw one with the church sign. Yeah.
So the first one I was talking about just had him, like, it was just a full body shot, like him walking towards the camera.
Oh, with another character?
There was that, but they also had a close up one of him where it really showed like his glasses and whatnot. And
okay.
His suit and his hairstyle, So, but yeah, we can talk about the church one because that is a little interesting.
Yeah. So the church one is, he's just walking by a church, and I don't know what it says. All that's really important is people were pointing out that the date on it was 2020,
right?
Which in MCU terms is the beginning of the snap. So, I mean, when did the blip occur?
The blip occurred at the end of 2018. So basically like October 2018. And then everyone came back at like October 2023.
Oh, okay. I see. Okay. So, all right. So it's either, I like this one idea that I heard, which was that the church just didn't change its sign ever.
Well, I can kind of guarantee you that is the case.
That the church didn't change its sign? How can you guarantee that?
Somebody, I actually found the article. Basically, this user Blind Wanda on Twitter found the real life church, and apparently, so that date on the church sign says March 15, 2020. There's a street view that they have from the church, and it's from August of 2021, and that same sign is still there. So they obviously have just had that sign up for 3 years.
Okay.
So, maybe Marvel is using it at, like there's a 1% chance or 5% chance. But most likely they just didn't take the date off. Yeah.
Yeah, that's okay. That's unfortunate because I would have, and I guess I can just say this like just to be speculative, if it is a case, but it seems like that's pretty concrete news that it's not. But it would have been interesting if it was during the blip.
Yeah.
Because we don't need to see that time period. But
I think it's a cool one to explore.
Cool. Like we haven't actually explored it very much. We just explore a little bit of it in Endgame, the tail end of it in Endgame, and then just people coming back. Really,
I mean that could be a whole time period for Marvel where they come back to like Star Wars does for episodes like between episode 3 and 4.
Right.
Yeah. Wow. That would be a cool one.
And like I was expecting maybe there'd be a lot of court cases dealing with problems that occurred because of this.
Yeah.
And another theory, and this doesn't really tie into it as much, but like another theory with the blip is like maybe when the blip like when they come back, like mutants, like the gene gets activated or something. So it could be cool to like this time period in the future they go back to, and maybe something with X-Men is happening that'd be
neat, but like
they can touch on. That's why they didn't do they weren't around or something until afterwards. That's the thing.
You have to explain like why they aren't around for years.
Sure.
Right.
But yeah, I was just gonna say it would have been an interesting choice for them to go in that route, and I would have been down for it.
Yeah, I guess.
Or it could have just been a flashback.
The other thing for me is like, because Kingpin is supposed to be in this first season of Daredevil Born Again, right?
Yeah.
So, like, from what we had heard after Hawkeye had come out, like from his own mouth, like the actor Vincent D'Onofrio, right?
Yeah.
Was that like he I guess his interpretation, or like what he had heard, was that, you know, the reason Kingpin was in this state now is because I think he was blipped and like he lost his entire like kind of like empire to the blip.
Oh, that's interesting.
So I don't know if he would be around for it in this, you know, blip era, but it could have just, you know, it could just be because I'm not sure he said like his character was, but like how devastating could that be for your like criminal organization if like over half of your entire like criminal enterprise is just wiped out?
Yeah.
Like how devastating would that be?
Yeah.
So
that would have been
neat.
Interesting narrative place to go.
Yeah, I kind of want to see that now.
Yeah.
I'm bummed. Yeah,
kind of bummed that it just sounds like it's a church sign that didn't change.
Yeah, that is a bummer.
Speaking of bummers, one of the original three, I guess you would say, between Kevin Feige, Louis Esposito, and now Victoria Alonso, they're the three like guiding heads, like producing heads of the MCU of Marvel.
And I guess she had mainly been a head for like the VFX departments.
Yeah, and then it was like post-production, so VFX, and then physical stuff.
Yeah, there's like multiple departments, but yeah.
So she's exited the Marvel picture.
It just says that she's left, right?
Yeah, like I don't think it's gone into any specifics.
Yeah.
You know, we can only like speculate about what's going on, and I think that there's a couple different theories going out that I've heard, and one of which could just simply be like she's had her time at the place.
Sure.
She's made a lot of money. She's got a lot of stock options. She's just, I'm going to leave, and it's all amicable and it's fine.
She completed 4 phases. You know, like what else do you have to do?
I do feel like maybe also they would have just said that, right?
Yeah, but like,
if that was the case,
it's not like, you know, she's some athlete retiring from a team where she has to put out some statement, right? She's just,
she's just a big.
I feel you, but like, I can't like, recount
because they could have said like she's, you know, we liked her time at the company. Like I'm just like she's a big part of it. Like I feel like it's big news. It got picked up by all these big like I don't know, like sites or you know.
That's fair. I mean, I guess like for me, it's just I've barely heard of her, like maybe once or twice. And like, you know, in all of like our time counting Marvel news, but
she is like the head of like post production. I mean, that's a big role.
Yeah, that's huge.
And so I think there might be something going on, either like frustrations with how recent like Marvel's had to deal with stuff, and especially because there's been such a strain on the VFX pipeline,
right?
That she would have been integral to all of that happening or whatever was going on. And I think it is that it's Marvel at the top with how much they use for VFX, and then it goes to like Netflix. So they are a big reason, and maybe like having the dual roles of the VFX and the physical was like too much, or there was some frustration or something. I don't know what this means for Marvel in the future.
The other report that I'm hearing is that, you know, she's responsible for like the toxic work environment that was that made up like post-production MCU with the VFX artists specifically.
Like she was like causing the toxic.
Yeah, like basically, like one report I heard, a senior reporter for Vulture.
Okay.
Yeah, so I guess he reported in January that she had created a blacklist for VFX artists that don't meet its demanding standards. And then saying, she was singularly responsible for Marvel's toxic work environment. So many VFX sources have told me Victoria Alonso was singularly responsible for Marvel's toxic work environment, a kingmaker who rewarded unquestioningly fealty with an avalanche of work, but who also maintained the blacklist that kept FX pros wide-eyed with fear.
Yeah, I mean,
I mean, you could look at it like the reports are a straight fact here, or it's like Disney is trying to put all of the blame on her, because singularly responsible is a very, like, that's crazy to me. Like, I feel like it's a whole infrastructure there. And yes, she probably is responsible for a lot of it. There's no way she's like the sole one who's like killing these VFX studios,
I mean, if she's the one who is
blacklisting, sure.
Well, if she is the head of the post-production department, she does have the like say of what they do, sure, and who gets what and negotiates those deals. So it could be, I understand, like, I feel like there's a lot of when things go wrong, there's the thought of, there is those two thoughts. It's either the one person, and then there's the other thought of like, well, it can't just be one person. It has to be like a whole culture of it, or there has to be more people involved. It is interesting that like sometimes it is just that one person has that power, and who knows?
Yeah.
But I do think that because there isn't being a lot said about why this particular person is leaving, because I think even in the past, people with lower level jobs
have had like statements being written,
just little things. I mean, she's one of the big heads of that whole entire company, and you would think
she'd say something.
They would say something, or like, because this is open to like speculation now.
Sure.
And it's not going to be huge speculation except to like people like us.
It's what we're doing right now. Yeah.
But to like most people, like, no, they're not. Like, sure, nobody cares really. But I think for the people who care about it, I mean, and there's a lot of online fans who do. I just think that why would you not say anything?
Yeah,
because I think one headline literally said "shocker," and it was either like Hollywood Reporter or Deadline. Yeah, and like, because it is like big news.
Yeah, I mean it's equal to like a director leaving a project. So,
yeah, I mean it's a big head.
Yeah, I get it. It's huge. Yeah. So I mean there's something big I think going on. Yeah. But hopefully,
and maybe this is one of the things that's like phase 4 and now the beginning of phase 5. There's been a lot of criticism on how much they're
putting out.
Well, that and like the VFX has been suffering, that I think a lot of people have noticed.
Yep.
And I think there's been reports of like VFX companies saying like, this is too much and we're getting pushed a lot. And if it's all getting pushed to just certain people and not to others, and being delegated to others, and if that's the case,
right,
like maybe she's like gotta go.
I mean,
I don't know.
Like hopefully, with Marvel like scaling back its content, and with her leaving Marvel, hopefully things get better for VFX, for the artists, and for us as consumers. Because I think we would like some kind of a better quality than what we've been getting.
Yeah, but I mean, like, and this is all to say, like, we don't know, but I will say, like, up until around phase 4 or so, like, VFX has been great. So a good job was being done, at least for a while. It would seem,
and it wasn't even like like phase 4 happened and I instantly noticed it.
No, it wasn't until probably the past year or so.
Yeah, something like that.
Probably around. I feel like the time that I first really noticed the big like hiccup was that post-credit scene in Eternals.
Yeah, okay.
But everything besides that, off the top of my head, like everything was singing pretty well.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, is that like, I don't know, Ant-Man Quantumania, there's just so much of that. And like, I can point at like one time in Eternals, or like one time in Black Widow, or like one time in Endgame. But
I mean, I do remember
actually not even Endgame. It was Doctor Strange. But yeah, go on.
Like, I do think that you were mentioning like there was times in Moon Knight. There was definitely a lot of times in She-Hulk. But with She-Hulk, regarding that character, the way that it's designed, and the kind of uncanny valley-ness of it, as opposed to like Hulk, because he's got like the facial hair that makes it seem a little bit better. She's such a smooth face character. But regardless, there was stuff in She-Hulk, there was stuff in Miss Marvel, that like with the skeletons.
Oh my gosh, that to me was the most atrocious VFX for Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, there's stuff in like pretty much Wakanda Forever, very good though.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Very good. But almost every other movie was kind of had its moments of weirdness. but
for sure.
But still, like, they weren't terrible. It was just I feel like the start of,
Yeah. It definitely was the start of Phase 4.
Yeah.
That's all the news that we wanted to talk about today. I know we have a review that we're going to do right now about Mandalorian Episode 4, Season 3.
Yep.
This is going to be a spoiler review. If you haven't been following along, or if you don't care, then feel free to listen. But
yeah, and apparently there's people who don't care. So
people. I mean, like,
which kind of surprises me.
I have a friend who listens to these and doesn't watch Mandalorian. So
that's insane.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's just jump into it. Ian told me before we went into it that it's a 32-minute episode, which in Mandalorian terms means 26.
Yeah.
Because there's all these fucking long credits. And
recaps.
I just want to say, I love The Mandalorian. I loved Mandalorian Season 1 when everybody was kind of like, what is this show? It's just like a Western and an adventure per episode. Like, I was totally into it. I still love
Season 1 too, because the ending was good.
Well, I'm not saying that you didn't like it, but there was like a lot of people who were feeling this way.
Right.
And, like, I was loving Season 2. I wanted to love Season 3. So far, I've been kind of let down, except for Episode 3 of this season was, but even that one doesn't feel as good as previous Mandalorian seasons.
Yeah, I think one of the people like who listened to our podcast commented on one of our socials saying that, like, the reason Episode 3 was the way it was because another show got cut and they had to like put this moment into this to this series. So.
Right. It was the New Rangers show.
Okay.
And I was like, that's cool. Right. But it is kind of a bummer that they wanted that this storyline was so important, seemingly, that it's being rumored that, like, they needed to put it into smack dab in this show.
Yeah.
Whereas if we would have had this episode be a part of Episode 3, I probably would have liked it more because you're seeing Bo-Katan be like go join this commune pretty much. And that would have been the episode of her like being more like connected to them, or them
becoming
accepting
like a
her more
leader. Yeah.
But instead we had, and I liked last episode, but like now we go into this episode, it's hella short, which is disappointing, but like I'd rather with the content that happened here, I'm rather it be short and I can just get over it.
Yeah, at least this one was short.
But I think my criticisms of it are that, first of all, like when we get to the Grogu flashback, it's smack dab in the middle of the episode, which is already short to begin with. And I felt like they would have wanted more dramatic pause or like just more weight to it,
right?
Or like get us more invested in it if they would have just maybe put it at the end somehow.
I mean, there's that, but my problem with that scene is that it only tells us like what the person who saved Grogu looks like. Like there's no other information that whole scene tells us.
I mean, unless that character is the bigger and well known in other Star Wars lore, that
not that I know of.
Not that I'm aware of. I will say that it is cool that is the guy that plays Jar Jar Binks.
Oh wow, I didn't know that. That's cool.
So Jar Jar saved Grogu.
That's cool. Okay.
But besides that, like it's a cool flashback, but that was such a big thing that happened that I really thought that they would have given it more weight. Maybe even its own episode or something.
Right. Like I need that to go somewhere more than where it did, because like for us to get that big of a flashback sequence, like for it to tell us nothing, it feels like a waste. And it feels.
But it didn't feel like there was weight.
Right, that's what I was gonna say. It feels like there's less weight to it too, because it's where it is in the episode.
And like I understand what they're doing narratively, of
kinda,
sort of, right? Like, see, but it's like, well, I don't like. For me, I'm like, is he getting the flashbacks because the banging like metal? He's scared of joining another thing that like.
Yeah, right. It didn't make much sense why the flashbacks were happening.
At least not
to us.
Not too much, like to us necessarily. But
It just seemed to resemble what like conflict, like banging a hammer. I think that's maybe what they were going for.
Maybe. I mean, I feel like you had an issue with the Jedi getting gunned down pretty easily. I didn't really.
It felt like in episode 3 when we had seen them like the Jedi's getting gunned down at the school.
Right.
It was just like there was a whole army with them.
Sure.
And that made sense to me. It just felt like a 4v4 with Jedis and troopers, and they took out the Jedis.
But I will say that like in the Jedi, what was it called that they just did? Visions? Not Visions.
Yeah, Visions. No. Tales of the Jedi?
Tales of the Jedi. Uh-huh. There is an Ahsoka based episode where you see why Order 66 and those clone troopers were effective as they were, because they like really knew, like they trained with the Jedi. Yeah. Like there's a whole thing of Ahsoka like doing, like trying to like fight them. Yeah, a training based thing, and she keeps losing and losing and losing and losing.
It all that more impressive that guy was able to save Grogu.
Sure,
like as a one guy, you know. So,
and I think his name's like Kellen, or
we know his name.
Yeah, it says his name.
Oh,
like it's like it starts with a K. It's like
I missed that. Yeah,
Kellyan or something.
That's a cooler name.
he's cool. It's just it was. Hey, let me drop this thing that we've been waiting for 3 seasons for, and we're going to cut it off right here.
Do you think this is like a substitute for like what we got to see in Book of Boba Fett? Like for the fans who didn't watch that show, do you think like, oh, well, now they're getting to see, what happened in Order 66 with Grogu? Because we saw a little bit of that in Book of Boba Fett.
We did?
Yeah, when he was with Luke.
What did we see?
It wasn't this extensive of a scene.
But what did we see?
I mean, it wasn't. I don't think it was for more than a minute. But basically, I think we just saw like Grogu at the school and him being defended by Jedi. I don't think there was anything more than that.
Didn't we see that also in season 2, or did we not?
I guess I don't know when we would have seen it in season 2.
Just in like a flashback? I don't.
Sure, but yeah,
I can't remember.
But yeah, I mean, if I could be wrong.
But yeah, so we have this thing it's like, oh, that's cool, but it's kind of upsetting, and because it's just kind of cut off, and then and like the training thing with the kid, like the foundlings, the younglings, like fighting each other at the beginning was it was
I should say that
cute.
The entire like clan of the Mandalorians is out on the beach from episode 1, just training and
shooting stuff in the waters, which maybe they shouldn't keep shooting stuff into the water.
If that monster truly exists down there, then why are you shooting the water?
Well, it does exist down there.
Right. Yeah.
Because it attacked them.
Yeah.
And
Grogu,
they still live there.
They still train right there. But yeah, Grogu challenges a kid and he does some ridiculously goofy flips.
Grogu doesn't challenge.
Yeah, I mean, the Mandalorian challenges a kid for Grogu.
Yeah, he's like a dad who's like, no, my I'm gonna make you do this thing.
Right.
Which like, just like on a side topic, like, is that something that dad should do? Like push your kid to do this thing, or like, do you just let them go do the thing that they want to do?
Because maybe some kids won't ever do anything without a little push.
I guess it's just the way that you approach it, because because I guess he could have been like, oh, like, come on, you pussy, right. As opposed to being like, oh, well, just no, I believe in you,
right? Right.
So, anyways, side note finished.
But yeah, I mean, we get this little training thing where like, Grogu does a flip over the kid and then flip back and then shoots him and wins the duel.
Yeah.
And then
there's gonna be so many toys with him with that fucking
the darts.
Yeah. I swear to God.
But yeah, that kid who he beats walks off, and this flying beast comes out of nowhere.
They live in the most inhospitable area of this entire planet.
I guess that's why no one's there. I guess that's why they can use this cave.
But like, this has happened before.
I know.
They mentioned that it's happened before, and they're still not like ready. They don't have defenses set up or like. like measures to be taken if this happens.
Right. Yeah.
And so I was just so worried that like they go off in pursuit with their jetpacks, and Bo-Katan like goes and finds its lair with her ship. And I was so worried that, oh, this is going to be the episode. And it is kind of like an adventure of the week sort of thing.
Right.
But it really, I mean, it does enhance, it does forward the plot, but like ever so little, because it's just about Bo-Katan getting into this like kind of going into the Mandalorian creed, or like following it.
Right.
But it was fine. But like with the past 2-3 episodes, just not really having much of a narrative thrust. And I mean, maybe the second one had the most, but like really there hasn't been much of a narrative thrust. Like I just feel like I don't know where this is going, and it's getting kind of frustrating. And so we did actually have a whole episode of just getting this kid, which was like fine. And it's also frustrating because when they eventually get up to the nest, Paz Vizsla is like, you know, like, hey, like they're all like, calm down, like. And he's like, no, that's my son. But he said it in a way that like it's like he's not told any of them that that's his son.
Right.
And we were saying if he would have just said it's my son from the beginning,
from the start,
we would have cared actually more. But just this one moment at the end, and then it shows up and then its babies are attacking him, and then he flies straight into its mouth, and then it now has Paz and his kid.
Yep.
And then they do this takedown, and it's fine, and the whole episode is fine. It's actually just kind of okay, and I don't care. And then we bring these little babies home, because now they're maybe foundlings. Probably not, because that's impossible. But
yeah, like to me, I was like, this has to be a joke. But then the armor was like, yeah, okay, there's 3 new foundlings. Cool. And they made no mention of it, and was like, all right, yeah, let's come to me. I'll get you a new shoulder plate.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, like I literally said, like while the episode was playing, I'm gonna be so mad if this is the plot of the show, like the plot of this episode in particular.
Yeah. Because
my prediction last week on the podcast was that we're gonna continue to follow this Imperial Remnant thread where Moff Gideon has escaped and Elia Kane is doing villain shit, and they're trying to clone something, and they do a huge episode where they hint all that, and then we just go back to a let's save a kid plot on a random planet.
What I was saying, like I would not be surprised if we don't see anything about this cloning shit with the Imperials for a whole other season.
It's just like it's the most slow-paced like plotting I have ever seen in my life. Like we get like one cloning plot per season now, and then like what are we supposed to do with that? Like, am I supposed to give a shit for the next season? I'm starting not to care, and it's just like it's just a bummer. You know, the adventure of the week thing is fine, but we're half a season in now.
Like at least with like season 2, when we got to like the fisherman like thing, like we got introduced to Bo-Katan and we were helping her out, and we were dealing with Imperials shit with them, and they were like trying to steal the ship. Yeah, and then like. I don't know, like when, like I even like the spider egg episode, but like that was because they were like stuck. Yeah. Like, and like, I don't know, like,
I guess
at least they were more entertaining than this one, which I was like, oh, God.
That's the thing is like, I think we're fine with Adventure of the Week episodes, but we are now half a season into the season 3.
But there's only been one like Adventure of the Week
thing. The first one was Adventure of the Week for sure.
Was it though?
Yeah, he was just going to Navarro, and that
wasn't even the whole episode. Then he went to go see Bo-Katan. The second episode was more Adventure of the Week.
Bo-Katan was at the very end of the episode.
Exactly, but like,
I don't know. Yeah,
I don't even know if you can call that episode like Adventure of the Week, because it started off with him at like at the place that they are right now.
Right. I mean, the thing that
so we've now gone back to this place for 3 episodes.
Yep.
And what's really happened?
Bo-Katan. Sorry, so the Mandalorian is now a Mandalorian again.
Right.
Bo-Katan is a Mandalorian in their eyes. Grogu is training with them,
which is like I like that.
Yeah,
but like it's still like such a small.
Yeah, I mean that's it. And then you have Elia Kane, what she did on Coruscant. Which was barely anything, to be honest.
Which apparently could have just been revenge.
Yeah. I mean,
I didn't even think about that idea,
but like that would make the episode even like less important to me.
Exactly,
if it's just revenge.
Then I would be like, okay.
So what were we doing here? Like, why should I care about Elia Kane still?
I really hope it's not that.
That would be a bummer. That'd be huge. Yeah, there's half a season left. And we still don't know where the plot of the season's going. Like,
I mean, that mythosaur is gonna show up somehow for sure.
Yeah,
but like, for
I don't know. Maybe not, because like I was sure that we were gonna get, the cloning plot throughout the season, but we're not. And that was at the very end of not the very end, but that was. Hinted at the end of their plot, and for them to hint that Bo-Katan wants to see the mythosaur again or do something with it is like, okay. I mean, that could happen, but I don't trust your show now to follow these plots.
I'm not that I don't trust it. I'm just like really like I'm just so bewildered at how this show is now how it is at the moment, because season 1 and season 2 were just so they had such a cohesive narrative and had such an identity, and
like I knew where we were going.
I always knew where we were going.
Each season.
But now I'm like, I don't know. Maybe they do have something planned that's really good. It's just this episode
frustrated.
This episode was just frustrating because it was so short and it just really didn't. It was fine. It's a little frustrating. Like, I would have been fine with this episode if there was more narrative thrust, and that we had done a little bit more with the past 3 episodes. But in all actuality, like, not the first episode was just recapping.
Yeah.
For the most part, just recapping. We had a subplot about IG-11 that kind of went nowhere. And people can argue like he just decided that going back to Mandalore was more important, so he decided to, just forego his distrust of droids. Fine, I don't really buy that, and I think that's like
cheesy, not cheesy, but lazy writing.
Just either lazy or just like kind of betrayal to the character. And then we get to Mandalore, he gets redeemed very quickly. Okay, that's fine.
And then we take a break from them.
That was good, but then we immediately take a break.
Right. And then we come back in this episode, and they're just saving a kid.
They're just saving a kid.
Yep.
And it just feels like I kind of want more going on.
Like, I guess 2 things. Like,
because we're in season 3.
Yeah. Like if season 2 didn't happen and wasn't so exciting and good, then maybe this season would feel more in line with what it like the Mandalorian is. And like the thing there too is that like even Pedro Pascal hyped this season up. He's like, oh, we're gonna really open up the world of the Mandalorian, and you're gonna see a lot of like big exciting things. And it's just like we haven't at all yet. Like there's nothing crazy about the season.
Seeing all these Mandalorians do stuff together is cool. But I just wish it wasn't a rescue a kid plot that also, like, one of the characters didn't even mention that it was his kid, which maybe all the other characters knew.
Yeah.
But it really sounded like
am I
the first time he said that.
Am I like misremembering that he's voiced by Jon Favreau, or am I wrong about that?
There was like a character, like a toy figure that like. The removable head is like Jon Favreau.
Nice.
But I don't know if he's actually voiced by, because it doesn't sound like Jon.
I agree, it doesn't. Yeah.
So,
but yeah, hopefully
this could be my least favorite of the season potentially. It's right there with 1.
I said as it ended that it's better than episode 1, but it's pretty much right there with it.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully it gets better in the second half of the season.
Hopefully.
This has not been like the Last of Us reviews where we're all super happy every time we come in here.
Nope.
This is very different.
Yeah, we're just gonna get a bunch of shit on social media when I make shorts of whatever we talk about.
You'll just if you listen to every episode that we review these, we're just gonna get aggressively angrier. Oh man. But this is
we're just yelling.
I hate this. but this is the part of the podcast where we talk about things that we watched and enjoyed this week. I don't know if you've been listening or watching anything.
I watched that Chris Rock special that was out on Netflix.
The one where he's like talking about the Will Smith thing.
Yeah, that's it's funny. That's the only thing that like people bring up.
It's because it's like I've seen that clip on social media.
Yeah, but like that's like at the very end. So it was fine.
Oh, okay.
You know, like it wasn't like you have to see this. You don't. Right. It's not like you're gonna die of laughter. It was just fine.
Yeah.
And I think that was it. Okay. Besides seeing Shazam.
Well, I mean, we watched John Wick 2 and 3 together.
Oh, right.
And John Wick 2 was great. And I'll say about John Wick 3 in a second. But I think John Wick 2 is such like a great like next part like after 1. Like it opens up that world of like the assassins, but it doesn't do it in like a super ridiculous way. The action is very much like the first movie. And I think it's a pretty like grounded plot altogether. Like 1 and 2 feel very cohesive, I guess. And the plot is almost as strong, I would say. 3 is great action wise. Like I have never been so entertained by action before. Yes, the story was a little crazy and got a little like mythical at points. But like I didn't think it was ridiculously awful or anything like that. Like
no.
I still bought into what the story was. I didn't think there was like an overabundance of ridiculous action. I think there was some of it, but like
what would you say is the ridiculous action?
Like you have I've mentioned it, but like the horse scene where
it's so good.
But he uses like 2 horses back to back to kill 2 people back to back.
Hell yeah. And, it's so dope.
But then, there's also like the ending where he just like it's not even believable, but he's like throwing himself into glass. Do you remember that? Like that was a little ridiculous.
It was, I don't know. For me, it was like physical comedy mixed with action.
Yeah, but it wasn't supposed to be comedy there. You know?
I don't know. I think there was like, because eventually he pushes them into glass, and it's, I don't know. I don't know. Maybe you might be right.
There's others, but like. I specifically I loved like the motorcycle scene, and I loved like especially that knife scene in the beginning. That was like probably my favorite scene of the entire movie.
I think that's got to be one of the best choreographed or just like well thought out action scenes.
It was so good
of all time. Like it
even
just all the ways that they fought and killed each other, and just the choreography was just insane.
Yeah, so good. I mean, even the scene that came before it with the NBA player.
Oh God.
Yeah, it was just such a brutal kill.
So brutal.
But yeah, I mean, the action in that scene was great too. Oh
I just love the atmosphere. Like I love, like, it's really hard for me to imagine just watching, because it's really hard for me to imagine not going from like having seen 2 going directly into 3. I mean, that's how I saw it the first time.
You did it back to back?
Yeah, I just did back to back because I was so hyped up.
It feels really good doing it that way.
Right. Like it's just hard for me to imagine like going like, oh, I'm just gonna jump into 3, which you can, but it just feels so much more satisfying to have like him now be excommunicado. Everybody is after him.
Yeah.
And now he's running off and it's raining and it's like neon in the city.
The visuals were amazing.
It's like got such great atmosphere and he's like running out of time and people are like, he's like, doctor, you gotta help. Like, it's so dope. He's like,
the vibes are great. And I think like, even though the notion of it, like, it felt like almost everyone at some point was like an assassin recognizing him.
Yeah.
And so like, yes, that got a little ridiculous, but like, I get it. The vibe of that where like, it doesn't matter what corner you turn and somebody wants to kill you is such like a exciting, fun, like thing to watch.
Yeah. And I just see it more as like, this is like the dopest anime or like comic that you've read. And it's just like, it's not one of these things that is like, because we've far surpassed, like, I wouldn't say that the first movie was super grounded, but it was the most grounded.
It was pretty grounded, yeah.
And but like now we're just in this other level and you're just in it or you're not.
Well, and I think it kind of needs to get to this kind of level because like we're at like the heart of this world of assassins, and I think like the game of like killing is at such a high level that like I think the action needs to match it, you know?
Yeah, the one criticism I have heard is like he was so feared in the first movie, and now there's all these people who are like, oh, I'll go kill John Wick. And I will say, to me, I was keeping that in mind because I wasn't thinking about that when I first watched them.
That's fair.
And I was keeping that in mind when I was watching this again. And I'll say there is henchmen. There is that you would think maybe, like, especially in the second movie, like, why are you going after him?
Yeah.
Like, he's going to kill you.
Right. Exactly.
But, so there is a bit of that. But
I even noticed that, I guess, in the second. Yeah. That's funny.
And there's a bit of that in the third one. But for the most part, a lot of the people that go after him are like big assassins. Like,
right. And I think that's the difference is like an assassin,
like boss levels,
is gonna have an ego and look at themselves in a different way, like in comparison to like a Russian mob, like and an assassin. You know, like it's just you're in two different worlds, and I think the fear is different in those.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's an interesting complaint. I didn't even think about that really.
Yeah. But I'm just so excited for chapter 4.
When does that come out?
This weekend.
Wow. Okay. So we're seeing that, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah, I might just like see it Saturday.
Okay.
We'll see. But
we'll see.
It's like, you pissed John. Yeah. And
it's such funny, a great way to leave off 3.
It's funny, like it's so dope. But it's funny because like at the end of each John Wick movie, he ends up progressively looking so much worse than the last. Like, I'm just expecting him at the end of 4 to just like have bone coming out of his face.
Oh my gosh.
Like, he looks so fucked up at the end of this movie.
He does. And for a good reason. Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, he should be dead.
Yep.
Like he fell off an entire building.
What's so funny is that
like a skyscraper almost.
The clip like of him, like of Keanu Reeves actually doing that stunt showed up on my Twitter feed like the day we watched it, and I was like, oh wow, I wonder what that scene is. But and that was at the very end. So the only other movie I said movie, but the only other thing I watched was the Sherlock in 1895, or back in the 19th century.
That's after the season 3 finale, though.
It is.
So you saw the season 3 finale.
I heard. Oh well, I thought I had. Oh,
no,
okay. So last time I had. Oh, okay, okay. Yeah. So season 3 finale was great. I'll say that.
Yeah, it's good.
Yeah, I mean,
like John's wife.
The whole twist of Mary being a CIA ex-agent is.
I thought you would like that.
That was amazing. Like, I think that made season 3 so worth it. Like there wasn't like these amazing mysteries, but like that was the mystery we weren't seeing, and I was like, oh, beautiful.
Yeah.
And Magnuson was a good villain too.
Yeah, he's pretty weird.
Yeah, but I like how much he gets a kick off of like the power he has. So that's like it's a neat aspect for a villain. Also played by Lars Mikkelsen. I don't know if you knew that. Mads Mikkelsen's brother.
Oh. Yeah.
But yeah, and then at the end of episode of that finale, we get the reveal that Moriarty is alive. Like he's like, "Oh, miss me,"
Right.
And so while Sherlock is like basically being excommunicated, not like John Wick, but he takes some drugs and goes into his mind palace.
It looks like he kills the villain. That's why, right?
Huh?
Doesn't he kill?
Yes,
guy,
yeah,
and that's why.
Yeah. That's why he's being excommunicated. Yeah.
But like I think he's going to jail.
No. So basically, he's going like you remember. I don't know if you remember, but in the like earlier in that finale of season 3, Mycroft mentions to him that he has a job offer that would send him to like Eastern Europe that would kill him in like 6 months, and so he's not giving him that job basically. And so at the end of the episode, it's like basically Mycroft or Sherlock says like he's going to Eastern Europe and I'll be there for 6 months, and then after that I don't know.
Okay.
And so I think it's just kind of like he's basically doing like work other than the United Kingdom.
Okay.
But yeah, basically he goes into that plane. He throughout the episode of that special, you realize he's taken drugs and gone into his mind palace.
Yes.
And he's trying to solve a mystery that happened in the 19th century.
Yeah.
And it's a really good one.
No, it is.
Like the whole thing was really well put together. Everyone looked great. Mycroft looked amazing as Fat Mycroft.
Yeah.
And John actually looked good with the mustache. And everything was great, and the mystery was great too. And I think it almost worked just as well as like modern day Sherlock era. Like I think I could have easily had a show where it was all this.
Yeah. And that episode ends with them at the waterfall, right?
Yes, at the waterfall where he, basically, it's to get out of the mind palace thing he's in, he has to jump off of this waterfall in his mind. And when he wakes up, he realizes, based off of solving this mystery back in the 19th century, that Moriarty is not actually alive, but he is back in some sense, and they have to figure out what that means.
Right.
So,
and also I will say that I believe that that waterfall thing is like they both jump off in like the books that were written.
Oh, really? Okay.
So that's like a whole thing, like if they live or died or not.
Right.
Very similar to like them jumping off of the building in the last season. And also that's how A Game of Shadows, which is the sequel Sherlock Holmes movie that Robert Downey Jr. did, that's how they both jump off.
Okay.
Like that's how that movie ends.
Neat.
Yeah. So that's like a big Sherlock plot point.
Yeah, I guess with that, I'm kind of bummed that it's your least favorite season, because it's set up so strongly by like the thread that happens at the end of season 3, and then you have this special that ties so well into the actual plot of Sherlock without you actually really needing to see it,
I mean, maybe when I hear from you what you think of it, maybe it'll restart some stuff in my mind.
Yeah.
Because I did see it. It was because season 4 came so long after season 3.
Oh, really? Okay.
So it'd been such a long time that I was like, I don't know. Like, I don't. We'll see.
Your heart wasn't in it at the same spot.
I think like it feels like it's coming to an end.
Yeah.
And part of it just felt unsatisfying.
Oh.
So I'll just see what you think. Maybe you'll feel differently.
Maybe it's not as satisfying as it could be because they plan for another season after.
Maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, does it feel like they plan for another season, or does it just feel like an ending?
I can't quite remember.
Okay.
But it probably could have gone either way.
Right.
And I just think that like the episodes were just not as strong. But I'll hear from you.
Yeah, that's unfortunate. But yeah, I mean, I'm still excited to see how it pans out.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's everything I watched.
Yeah. Well, I think this might be the end.
I think this is the end of the podcast. We appreciate you for getting to this point and listening to everything we had to say. Even if you skipped out some parts, that's fine.
Yeah. Just real quick. We do not have a review yet of our podcast. It's not been rated or reviewed. So if anybody wants to be the first one, we will take a picture. We will frame it. We'll put it up. It'll be on our Instagram. If you want to leave our first review, it has to be a positive one.
And you'll be ingrained into the last week, this week lore,
history, canon, all of it.
Yeah. If you liked what you listened to today, then, and if you want your review ingrained in our lore, then please give us a review. But yeah, if you also liked what you listened to, then we release on Fridays and Saturdays usually. And if you want to listen to that, we are on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and Podbean. If you want to check us out on our social medias, we are at Last Week This Week Pod on Instagram and TikTok. We are not that on YouTube, but go check us out there as well. And if you want to support us, give us a like, a rating, a comment, and Zach will definitely
follow, subscribe.
Yeah, Zach will definitely comment to your comments.
If you specifically want Ian, I'll bug him, and you can go.
Yeah, if you want a request for me, then I will talk to you. Yes. But thank you very much for supporting and listening, everybody.
Yeah, thank you very much. Until next time.